So now we are moving into our second unit. This is fast Fourier transform algorithms, okay, or else algorithms to calculate our DFT. So far we have seen about discrete Fourier transform and applications of discrete Fourier transform and applications of discrete Fourier transform in long sequences method like that. So we have come across some disadvantages of discrete Fourier transform, that is in communication in computing the long length sequences we are facing some missing of samples in overlap add method. Of course we have overcome it by overlap save method, but by implementation of the DSP has become very complex. So that's why we are approaching for algorithms, a step by step procedure to calculate our DFTs based on our formulas. I have already discussed with you about Twiddle factors in unit 1 and the formulas for DFT and IDFT with the help of Twiddle factors in unit 1. Those formulas that we are going to use in our second unit, okay. So this is fast Fourier transform algorithms. There are many algorithms and many methods to compute our DFT. We will see one by one. First one is efficient computation method to calculate DFT. Second one is direct computation method to calculate DFT. Third one is divide and conquer approach. Fourth one is radix algorithms. In radix algorithms we will see radix 2 DIT FFT and problems, and radix 2 DIF FFT and problems, and radix 4 FFT, split radix FFT algorithm. Next, application of these fast Fourier transform algorithms, how we are going to implement them, what are the applications of FFTA and what are the quantization errors that are present in our fast Fourier transform algorithms. These are all the topics that we are going to cover in our second unit. Here I want to tell you one important point. What our main intention in our second unit is to calculate DFT efficiently, okay. So to calculate our discrete Fourier transform efficiently. So in order, efficiency means we need in very less time with great accuracy. So less time means we have that algorithm to be very fast working, okay. That means with fast working, that too with flawless. So we will check for each and every algorithm complexities. Depending upon the complexities, that means total number of multiplications and total number of additions that are using in different algorithms is different. Depending upon those computational complexities only we are able to find out which algorithm is efficient, and we have to find out the algorithm which is very least in computational complexity, okay. That's what we are going to see in our second unit. We'll see all the algorithms step by step, and then we'll finally find out the computational complexity for the algorithm, and we'll choose the best algorithm or else the best method to compute DFT depending upon those complex computations, okay. These are all the algorithms that I have discussed now till now. Now let us move to efficient computation of DFT, okay. So in efficient computation of DFT we will see the computational complexity, that means total number of additions, total number of multiplications, whether the additions are real, if any complex additions or complex multiplications are there, what are the computational complexity of those, that and all we will see now. So there are several methods of computing DFT efficiently. DFT is used in various digital signal processing applications such as linear filtering, correlation analysis and spectrum analysis. That linear filtering and spectrum analysis we have seen in our first unit as applications of DFT. Its efficient computation is a topic that has received a considerable attention by many mathematicians and engineers. Okay, the computation should be very efficient. That too, it has to be fast, it has to be less complex. Okay, that's why it drawn more attention. Next, DFT and IDFT involve same type of computations that we all know, as the DFT and IDFT formulas are same. So, DFT, IDFT, the formula for DFT, x of k equal to summation n equal to 0 to n minus 1 x of n into e power minus j 2 pi k n by n. Similarly, IDFT, that means we have to find out the time domain one, x of n is equal to 1 by n summation n equal to 0 to n minus 1 x of k into e power j 2 pi k n by capital N. Okay. These are the formulas for DFT and IDFT. We have seen, we have discussed, and we know how these are all obtained from unit 1. Okay. And we also know that e power minus j 2 pi by capital N is nothing but a twiddle factor. Okay, that is represented by Wn, that is there in first unit you have seen. In this unit, in this entire unit, we are going to deal with that twiddle factor itself. So, we observe that for each value of k, the computation involves n complex multiplications and n minus 1 complex addition. From where it came? See this one. Okay, x of n into e power minus j 2 pi k n by n. For each value of k, for each and every value of k, that means for n is equal to 0 or n equal to 0 to n minus 1, for x of, if suppose k is equal to 1, first these two has to get multiplied, and then next for next nth sample they have to get added. Like that, it needs n multiplications and n minus 1 complex additions. Okay, and 4n real multiplications, 4n minus 2 real additions are required. Okay, these are all the synthesis that yields from the studies of the algorithms. Consequently, to compute all n values of DFT requires n square complex multiplications and n into n minus 1 complex additions. So, because of this much of, this is very high, because of this much of computational complexity, we can say that this algorithm is very inefficient because it doesn't exploit the symmetric and periodic properties of the phase factor. So, what is symmetry property? Means omega n power k plus n by 2 is equal to minus omega n power k, and periodicity property is omega n power k plus n equal to omega n power k. So, these two properties are covered in fast Fourier transform algorithms. It covers this, it exploits these two properties, then we can say that fast Fourier transform algorithm is more efficient than this efficient computation or else direct computation both. Okay. So, finally, the computational complexity of this inefficient method is, it requires 4n minus 2 real additions, 4n real multiplications, n square complex multiplications and n into n minus 1 complex additions. These are very large in value, so we can say that this is an inefficient method to compute our DFT. So, now let us see the next algorithm, which is called as direct computation method of finding DFT or else direct measurement of DFT. This direct measurement is nothing but our introducing some twiddle factors into our DFT formula. We know the equation for DFT. For a complex valued sequence x of n points, the DFT may be expressed as, see here, xr of k is equal to xr cos n plus xi sin 2 pi nk by n. This is the real part. How it came means by substituting cos minus j sin in this one. Okay, at the same time, For imaginary part, xi of k is equal to minus summation n equal to 0 to n minus 1 xr of n into sin minus x1 of n into xi of n into cos. Okay, if you substitute those points here, xr of n plus j into xi of n into cos 2 pi kn by n minus j sin 2 pi kn by n, and you can multiply those two terms and get real and imaginary parts separated, then finally you will get these two equations. Okay. The direct computation of above equations requires 2n square evaluations of trigonometric functions, 4n square real multiplications, n into 4n minus 2 real additions, and a number of indexing and addressing operations. Okay, these are the complexity of this direct computation method. These operations in item 2 and result in the values. The indexing and addressing operations are of necessary to fetch the data and phase factor and to store the results. Okay, this indexing and addressing operations means, let me be clear for you. So if you substitute this value xr plus j into xi here and cos plus j sin here, cos minus j sin of this value here, then those values have to be stored in the memory, and every time in the computation we have to go back to the memory and we have to fetch that values from the memory to calculate further calculations. Okay, that's why we need indexing and addressing operations. So we can say this method is also very inefficient to calculate our DFT. So finally, efficient computation of DFT and direct computation method of DFT, both are efficient to calculate this DFT. So that's why we will approach next methods. Okay, what is the next method? Means the divide and conquer approach. The divide and conquer approach will be continued in the next video. Okay.